Hello, good morning. I am Lima, professor at Keppe Pacheco College, Faculdade Keppe Pacheco. Welcome to our college and to our talk this morning. Today we will be talking about conflicts, personal conflicts, and social conflicts. This is a subject that unfortunately has been happening, these facts of conflicts all throughout history. We can see that people have been having conflicts many times everywhere. We see conflicts at home, at work, between people, and also between nations. Countries too, many times are in conflict, and we've seen this throughout history, all times, unfortunately. So, this is what we are going to talk about today. Conflicts, their causes, and how we can possibly solve them, right? So we can see here in this picture about personal and social conflicts, a couple having a conflict, which is not rare, and also countries, revolutions, wars, etc. Today is an example. We've been living a time of a lot of conflicts, social conflicts, and at the moment of confinement because of COVID-19, also personal conflicts, people at home together, the conflicts appear. Not that the situation causes conflicts in this specific case, but conflicts that already exist and are hidden, they appear, they come up in the situation. And not always do people know how to cope with them, how to handle them, and how to solve them. So this is our topic today. Because we are in the YouTube, unfortunately, we won't be able to have this conversation by sound. But you can write, okay? I'll see if you can send me questions and your comments too. I would like to receive and see if you can have this dialogue, okay? Let's try to do this today. What is the cause of conflicts? We could mention many external causes. We could, for example, on a one-to-one level, a couple, for example, the man can say, well, I have this conflict with this my wife or my companion because she's not treating me well. She can say the same thing. Well, I'm having this conflict with my companion because he doesn't pay attention to me, he doesn't listen when I speak to him. In other words, you can find a million excuses, a million causes for the conflict. And on a national level, it's the same. One country can explain the conflict with another country because the other country wants to attack my country or is having dishonest business with my country. Many reasons. But my proposal this morning with you is for us to try to search deeper in our own selves and try to see in each individual if each person can be the cause of the conflict. Am I the cause of this conflict? What am I possibly doing to contribute to this conflict? Instead of looking for these causes outside, okay? Let's try to do this focus today. For example, here, one of the causes of conflicts, there are other causes, but one of them, and I believe a very relevant one, is this a thing called projection, right? What's a projection? A projection, a psychoanalytical projection, is when I put my problems on another person. I see my problems on another person or on a situation. In this picture here to the right, we can see two ladies, one blaming each other for their problems. For example, the lady on the left, she believes the cause of her problems is the lady on the right. And the lady on the right, the same. She believes the cause of her problems is the lady on the left. So this is projection. One person starts blaming the other for his or her problems. And then the conflict is there, right? They don't see in what way they might be causing their own problems and also the conflict itself. They think the cause of their problems is the other person, is another situation, is something that is not themselves. It's another person. We can see here in the picture on the left the same situation of conflict going on between nations. One nation believing that its problems are caused by the other nation and vice versa. And then they start attacking each other. They start having this conflict. So this is the point we are going to focus on today, that a major cause of conflicts is projection, when we see our problems outside of ourselves, on the other person, on another country, on a situation, right? So let's situate this concept, this point in history. For example, Freud, as we've seen in our previous talks, was an atheist. He didn't believe in God, he didn't believe in a superior being. And also he was a materialist. As we've talked previously, most of his theories were sexist. I mean, he believed that what motivates the whole of human behavior is a sexual energy he called libido. So everything Freud explained by this libido. If the person succeeded in life, it was because of his libido. If the person failed in life, it was because of his libido. So his worldview was based on this organic factor, because sex is something physical, something organic. Freud was very materialist. His training in psychoanalysis was very limited. And he was a doctor, he was a physician, and was very much connected to one's body. His view of the world was very organic, very materialistic. You can see in this picture here on the right, for example, a person thinking about money, not money, that money is wrong. Money is very good if you use it for a good cause. But if you only think of making money in your life, you leave aside many other important facts: affection, arts, philosophy. So if the person is only concentrated in making money, this person will restrict his life a great deal. Or the person is trying to find happiness in selfishness, in being important. This is a social kind of recognition, winning prizes, being championed, being admired by people. So when the person concentrates his happiness in his own person, in his narcissism. And the other picture, people trying to find happiness in relationships, affectionate, sexual and affectionate relationships. There's nothing wrong with that. The only problem is when people leave aside other aspects of human nature, right? So you can see that these three levels, also another important level, the level of having pleasure with the mouth, which belongs to the oral phase of development, as we saw in one of our other classes. So if the person stays in this material level, trying to get satisfaction through the mouth, through money, through power, through narcissism, through pleasures, the person stays in this organic level, leaving aside the higher levels of our personalities, which are connected to intuition, doing good, arts, science, aesthetic, spirituality. These are higher spheres of human personality. If you stay only in this material level, it's very difficult for the person to find happiness and being useful to society in this way. So this is the world of Freud. For example, as I said, he explained everything through sexual energy, the libido. For example, arts. Freud believed that art, which is something so elevated, so high, right? So we see art as a connection people have with aesthetics. Aesthetics, it belongs to nature, is God himself, is beauty, is truth, and is good, is goodness. God himself is this. So an artist, when he creates a beautiful piece of art, this artist is connected to some aspects of God. It's something very high, very high. But Freud said that art is nothing but the expression of one's libido, one's sexual drive, channeled to art, which he named, the person makes this transition, right, from the sexual aspect to art. Literature is the same. And also surgeries. You see, a surgeon has many abilities, he studies a lot, he does a lot of training, and when he performs surgery that is needed, a surgery that sometimes saves lives, he's doing a benefit to society, right? When it's doing with this purpose, when it's needed. So when a surgeon does this, he's doing something very useful. Freud believed that a surgeon, actually he has aggressive instincts, and deep inside he would like to cut people, to harm people, to being aggressive to people. And because he cannot do this, this is not acceptable in a society, he would transfer this, he would sublimate this sexual energy of aggression into something socially acceptable. So to Freud, arts and surgeries are a sublimation only of sexual impulses. We can see how Freud limited the meaning of human life. And also religion, because he was an atheist. He thought that God was just a projection of the father figure. People would call God what people feel and how people see their father. So it's just a projection of the father image. So he reduced really human life a great deal. And he remained in this organic level, as we have already seen. I'm just catching up to contextualize our topic of projection this morning. But Freud had a disciple, this lady called Melanie Klein. She was the first person to introduce a non-organic element into psychoanalysis, a really psychological aspect to psychoanalysis, And then psychoanalysis stopped being organic and started being actually psychological, right? Emotional. So Melanie Klein, born in Vienna in 1882, disciple of Freud, he started using the concept of envy. Why are we talking about envy today? Because it's envy that causes projection. Let's see how this happens. Freud, visiting a psychiatric hospital one day, he noticed that the insane people, insanity was caused by envy. He noticed that. But why he didn't change his theory? Well, he was an old man at the time. He was not young anymore. That was about the end of his life. His theory was complete. So he didn't feel prepared to change his whole body of theories to introduce envy. So he just made that comment. He made that observation, but he didn't change his ideas. Melanie Klein did that. Let's see something about this. Let's see in this video. We can see something.
Então, a etiologia das neuroses foi estudada durante muito tempo e, finalmente, o próprio Freud, quando ele já tinha uma certa idade, ele começou a pôr em dúvida até por causa não só dele próprio desconfiar, mas o próprio aquele psicanalista suíço, né, começou a mostrar para ele, o Jung, que a questão do sexo não era fundamental e que isso prejudicava muito o conhecimento da etiologia das neuroses. Então, ele, em visita aos sanatórios, ele começou a notar que lá no sanatório o problema não era tão assim sexual como ele imaginava, mas o problema dos doentes mais graves era mais interno, ligado à questão da inveja, né? E ele, desenvolvendo esse tema, ele teve seguidores importantes. Veja uma delas aí, qual é? É Melanie Klein. Ela era de Viena, né? Ela se mudou depois para a Inglaterra e ela foi adepta fiel dessa ideia e conseguiu um bom resultado, principalmente com os doentes mais psicóticos. E depois surgiu uma outra pessoa na Inglaterra, que foi discípulo dela, veja, Wilfred Bion, e ele também desenvolveu muito a questão da inveja. Então ficou praticamente a psicanálise dividida entre a questão freudiana, sexo, e a questão de Klein, né? A questão de sentimento, ou de antissentimento, porque a inveja não é um sentimento. O sentimento, como os senhores sabem, é o amor, né? A pessoa que tem amor, ela age de modo racional. E a pessoa invejosa age contra a razão.
So Melanie Klein started then studying this question of envy. And she believed that envy causes many conflicts. She wrote this book. She has this very famous book called Envy and Gratitude. It's a very famous book by Melanie Klein, where she talks about her studies. So envy, it was, as I said, the first emotional psychological element within psychoanalysis. Psychoanalysis stopped being solely organic. But I think it's better for us to talk a little bit about envy, because there is a misconception about what envy means. For example, what's envy, do you think? What's your idea about envy? Usually, People think that envy is when people wish to have something other people have, right? If my neighbor has a beautiful car, I say I'm envious of him because I wish I could have that car. Or a beautiful house, or someone's intelligence, or someone's talent, or someone's fame. In other words, usually people think that envy is about wishing to have something someone else has, right? Well, envy is not that. Envy is something different. If we analyze, for example, the origin of this word envy, we can better understand what it really means. In Latin, videre means to see. And invidere is the opposite. It means not to see. And invidere in Latin means envy. Invidere is envy. Also, in other words, envy means not to see. What is it that the envious person, is not willing to see? People think that we don't like to see problems. We don't like to see what's wrong. We don't like to see mistakes. But in envy, what we don't like to see is good things. Goodness, beauty, truth. These important and good elements is what envy tries not to see. How does that work, right? What's that? So Melanie Klein, in her study of envy, she explains. She noticed that babies rejected the breast's mother many times. Why? Precisely because the mother's breast, represents love. A baby is completely dependent on the mother. So the breast not only feeds the baby, which is essential for the baby's life, but it's also protection, is also affection, right? Is also care, is warmth, emotional warmth. So all this good, all this benefit that the baby gets from the mother's breast, the baby sometimes rejects. Not because it's bad, it's not bad, but precisely because it's good, it's important, it's fundamental, it's vital. So this breast that represents so much good, the baby, when the baby is too envious, the baby will reject that. How will he show this? By biting the mother's breast, by rejecting to be fed. So these are manifestations of the baby refusal to the breast. So the baby's attack, emotionally speaking, means an attack to something good. And Melanie Klein noticed that, and she called this envy of good, the good breast, as she put it. Some people, you might think, but the baby has this rejection, but the baby is so small. How can that happen? Well, I can tell you that babies, their emotional life is complete. Babies don't have language. The verbal abilities will develop later. But babies, emotionally, they have all the emotions as a grown-up. Excuse me. So all the emotions are there, including, unfortunately, envy. Excuse me. So Claudia Pacheco, Dr. Claudia, she noticed that envy is actually universal. Not only babies have envy. Adults have envy too, are envious too. Men are envious, women are envious, Brazilians are envious, Americans are envious, Europeans are envious. It's universal. It doesn't depend on age, race, social status, nationality. It's universal, right? We are not born with envy. We are not victims of envy. Envy is an attitude. Envy is a reaction. People could not have, but we do have. So it's something we create, is not given by nature. It's a reaction. Keppe, Dr. Keppe, perceived that envy is not against material goods, as I said, but it's against what material goods represent, and usually represent good, beauty, and truth. They are good things, and when people are envious, we are against good things. It's not logical. You could wonder, but how can I be against good things? It's not logical, but it happens because we are inverted. Many times we see what is good as bad and what's bad as good. So because of this inversion, many times people reject very good, very important aspects in their lives, right? Let me see if I can read some comments here. Lilian, don't you think that a materialistic person doesn't want to see the power of other person? Yeah, exactly. And because of the projection, the power of other person represents our own willing to have power as well. Maybe envy is here since the beginning of time. It's true, since Adam and Eve. Thank you, José, Walter, for your comment. It's true. The first manifestation of envy was by the first human beings, Adam and Eve, right? It also means, if Adam and Eve is just a symbol, it means that every human being can have this attitude of envy. Thank you for your comments. I expect more comments, okay? So Keppe noticed that actually envy is something philosophical. We are actually against good. Good is the area of theology. Philosophy is the area of reason, of thoughts, right? Of the intellect. And science is the area of experimentation, arts, beauty, good action. So envy is something spiritual, it's something psychological, it's not something physical. So Keppe went a step ahead of Melanie Klein, because Melanie Klein believed the envy was against the mother's breast. It's still something physical. And Keppe says it is against something psychological, against good, against beauty, against good action. Is a psychological level, right? Spiritual level, not something physical. So, envy, actually, nature itself is always good. There's nothing wrong in nature as a creation. We cause problems when we go against what's good. We go against nature, then we end up with many difficulties. So, according to Melanie Klein, because the baby is envious of something good, the baby then will have two kinds of reactions, two kinds of behavior before good, before beauty, the baby. He will have what she called paranoid schizoid position and depressive position. This is a little bit technical, but I'll try to explain to you what it means in practice. You see, it's very interesting. The paranoid schizoid position is when the baby attacks the good breast, but then the baby will project his attack to the mother, and he will think the mother is attacking him. This happens in projection. We project our problems onto another person, and then we will think the person is attacking us, right? This is a projection, and then you feel persecuted because you see in the person what you did, what you projected on the person. And this starts with babies because of their envy. And then she said, then the depressive position, right? The depressive position is when the baby perceives that he has attacked something good, and the baby regrets, repents having done that. So the baby will try to change his attitude. The baby will try to compensate for his attack, his aggression. The baby will then try to be good, trying to compensate, right, to repair what he's done. So the Melanie Klein's perception here was correct. The baby really feels that. But the word depression here, we don't think it's appropriate, because in depression, when people are depressed, they are paranoid. What does that mean? When people are depressed, they are not trying to repair anything. They're not trying to compensate for their aggression. When people are depressed, they believe they are being attacked by other people. A depressive person usually feels like this: they don't like me, they don't treat me as I deserve, they are always against me, they don't give me a chance. In depression, people feel persecuted by other people, they feel attacked by other people, and this is paranoia. When people feel attacked by other people, this is paranoia. So depression is another way of manifesting paranoia. So this word here, depression, for this position of babies, we think it's not appropriate. The baby sometimes really regrets having been aggressive towards the mother and tries to compensate. But we don't think this should be called depressive position, because it's a good position, right? Because of this, this picture is showing people develop these feelings of being rejected, which is paranoia. And as we can see here, well, let me just finish my thought. And so this depressive position that the baby has should not be called depression, in our opinion. Should be called a phase of compensation, right? And which is very positive, and the baby is trying to accept the good again. Right, so Melanie Klein was correct in what she perceived, but she gave this inappropriate name, as we think. So going back here to the first position, the schizoid position, the baby projects his aggression, and then he feels the mother is rejecting him, and starts having this feeling of being persecuted. She called this position projective identification, technical word. But what does that mean? It's an identification. You identify yourself with another person, but then you project on the person your problems. For example, in this picture here, a man and a woman. The man is seeing in the woman what he does. Do you see here in the woman his image? So actually he's looking at the woman, but he's seeing in her himself. And the woman does the same. She's seeing in him herself. Look at the image here. One is projecting himself or herself onto the other. This Melanie Klein called projective identification. And this is the major cause of conflicts, right? This is our point today, no matter the technical word. This is what causes most conflicts. On the other hand, here is the depressive position, in inverted commas. When the person wants to compensate, it's not depressive. When the person wants to compensate for his mistakes, it's wonderful, it's very positive, it's very mature. Depressive position. For example, this baby here. Look at this baby. This baby in a depressive position, he's not depressed. He's not feeling rejected. Quite the opposite. He's very happy. He's very grateful. So this position cannot be called depressive, right? The baby is very grateful here, accepting what's good. not depressive. But Keppe gave another name for projective identification. Keppe went deeper into psychoanalysis. He went deeper into this concept of Melanie Klein, which was interesting. But let's go deeper with Dr. Keppe. Dr. Keppe calls this inverted identification. What does that mean? Not only you project your problems onto another person, but also you see the person's qualities in yourself. Like this picture, it says, everybody is wrong, I am right. So this Dr. Keppe calls inverted identification. It is very common. We think we are right, we have good intentions, we do everything, we are good workers, we have qualities, and people are wrong. So we see people's qualities in ourselves. We think we have those qualities. And we see in people our problems. So it's an inverted identification. If you pay attention to this in yourself and other people, you'll be surprised, and you will see how this can explain and solve many conflicts. This is one of the major causes of personal and social conflicts. Pay attention, you'll be surprised, right? Here we have then an example of analysis. The lady says, the client, my husband is cheating on me. Dr. Keppe asked her, how do you mean? She said, I suspect he's having an affair with his secretary. Dr. Keppe says, why you have become suspicious? He or his secretary haven't given you any reason for you to believe there's something going on between them? She said, no. In fact, she's much older than he is, and she's only interested in her work and her family. So Dr. Keppe said, so in this case, aren't you doing everything you can to establish a negative idea about him? Isn't it more a question of envy? So let's try to understand this situation. The lady is married. Her marriage is something good for her, and she's envious of the marriage. What does that mean? She wants to attack her marriage and destroy her marriage. Of course, she doesn't perceive this consciously. It's something she's hiding from her consciousness. But she's having this attitude. She's trying to destroy her marriage. How? By being jealous of her husband. Then he will feel discomforted. He'll feel bad with her suspicion, and this conflict may finish the wedding, the marriage, right? So she's envious, she's attacking her marriage, which is good for her, and she's putting the blame on her husband. She's projecting. She believes he is causing the marriage to be destroyed when she is doing this. So it's envy, it's a projection, and is going to cause a conflict, right? If she perceives this, there will be no conflict, okay? Let's see some of your comments here. Do you think that a materialist person doesn't want to see... this is a... Let me see something. This was an old comment. Leo, is this the case? The babies do this unconsciously. Yes, Walter. The baby does that unconsciously. It's emotional, of course. Babies don't perceive this clearly. Okay, so let's continue here. Let's wait for more comments. Melanie Klein was correct in what she perceived. She was a wonderful scientist, so what she noticed was precise. Envy, or gratitude, and this causes conflicts. And Keppe went even deeper into this analysis, and he named this inverted identification. So you can see that consciousness of both things are essential. Consciousness of good, we should pay attention to the good of things for us not to attack it. And we have to be conscious of the rejection, the attack we do to good as well. So we have to conscientize both things, both elements, the good of things and the rejection we do to this. That's we call consciousness is dialectic. We have to see both sides, what's good by nature and the attack, the rejection we do to it. Consciousness of these two elements are essential for us to have a life with less conflict or no conflict, ideally. So envy needs to be conscientized, to be controlled, and conflicts avoided. And then we can establish sane relationships, okay? This is the message I have for you this morning. So, summing up everything, that one of the major causes of conflicts is inside of each of us. It starts with envy when we attack something good without perceiving that we are doing that. But we do. So this envy, this rejection of good elements in life makes us project if we don't want to see it. We project onto other people, and then we will think the person is against us. And then the conflict situation is established. You will feel that another person is against you and is causing harm to your life when you are doing that yourself without perceiving it clearly. Okay? So, I'd like to know how you understand this, if this makes sense to you, if you think this is something you can use in your life, help you solve conflicts. What do you have to say? I'll give you a few seconds so that you can write me some comments. Okay? I believe that this is an essential cause of conflicts in the world. If people can come up to this perception, many difficult situations can be avoided. So, I don't know if you are willing to make some comments. I don't see any. Oh, it seems a comment is arriving here. Okay, no comments, only thanks. I would like to thank you for being with us this morning. I hope this has been helpful to you. I would just like to invite you, if you want to go deeper to these subjects, Carlos Alberto Bordini sent a comment here. It says, insecure people are jealous, is only envy or desire to be in the other person's place, so they blame the other for their insecurity. That's right, Carlos, that's it. It's always like this. We do something inadequate. If we don't accept that, we think other people are doing this. We project, and then you will start having arguments with the person, conflicts. It's very important to perceive envy, projection, and all this. So as I was saying, let's finish our talk today. I'd like to invite you, if you want to go deeper and to discuss this with more time and or more on a personal basis, I would invite you to do this course, which started last night. It's a monthly course, very short, 4 classes every Wednesday night on sociotherapy, emotional competence, and leadership. If you are interested, please join us. I think it's going to be very good to talk about all the subjects more in depth. So for today, thank you again, and I hope you can join us next week one more time. So have a nice day, and I'll see you. Bye-bye.